There is nothing new under the sun. There is also nothing new under the moon and stars. In my Cult of Jezebel video, I talked about the men who have a love-hate affair with Jezebel women. The women they want but can't have, at least not fully. I also read portions of the Testament of Solomon, including chapter 12, which reads in part, "And I again glorified God, who gave me this authority and ordered another demon to come before me. And 7 spirits came, females, bound and woven together, lovely in appearance and beautiful. They, with one accord, said with one voice, 'We are of the 33 elements of the cosmic ruler of darkness.' And the first said, 'I am deception.' The second said, 'I am strife.' The third, 'I am Clothod, which is battle.' The fourth, 'I am jealousy.' The fifth, 'I am power.' The sixth, 'I am error.' The seventh, 'I am the worst of all, and our stars are in heaven, and we are called goddesses.' Likewise, also the seventh said, 'I am the worst, and I make you worse off than you were, because I will impose the bonds of Artemis. If one were wise, he would not turn his steps toward me.'" Ashtoreth, also known as Astarte, was a goddess worshipped by Jezebel, and Jezebel took on her traits, as it is common to take on the attributes of the one you worship. Ashtoreth, an Egyptian Phoenician goddess, is the Greco-Roman equivalent of Aphrodite and or Venus. Aphrodite and another Greek goddess, Artemis, had a rivalry. Now, I did misspeak in the Cult of Jezebel video and say Ashtoreth is an equivalent of Artemis due to how much conflation there is between one goddess and the next between these cultures. And even though she has assimilated with Artemis, they are not necessarily equivalents. Ashtoreth's Greek equivalent would be Aphrodite, as they are both goddesses of carnal love, and Venus is their Roman equivalent. Artemis and Aphrodite are actually at odds. It is said that Artemis is the woman or goddess who is desired but can't be touched, while Aphrodite, aka Jezebel's goddess, Ashtoreth, is the woman or goddess who is desired and can be touched. In today's culture, we see a few things as it pertains to these goddesses. First, we see how Aphrodite, Ashtoreth, and Jezebel are the modern day Instagram models, the baddie, the adult content creators, and the adult film actresses, just to name a few. They embody the essence of this goddess and lead men astray. We have also begun to see the rise of women who have taken on the role of Artemis, the women who are fed up with men. They swear off marriage and boast about being child-free. Their critics calling them cat ladies. Artemis is an assimilated version of the Egyptian goddess Bastet, who was often depicted as a cat. In addition to that similarity that many modern women have with Artemis, some have also been adhering to the slogan, "Choose the bear." a trending social media question that turned into a rallying cry. If you aren't familiar, the question posed was, would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear? And most of the women interviewed chose the bear. Screenshot HQ, a media and news company self-described as Gen Z's daily fix of entertainment, trends, culture, and news, is the originator of that viral question. The question seems random and even innocuous until you realize the etymology of Artemis likely stems from the Greek word for bear. The tale of Artemis presents her as an independent woman who doesn't need a man, but in contrast to that, she is also known as a goddess of marriage and childbirth. Artemis was a virgin who avoided potential lovers, which is understandable considering some of the stories of her involve SA, or attempted forcible coupling, as some sources put it, by males. Artemis is the goddess over the nymphs. Nymphs are mortal spirits of nature in Greek mythology. Echo from the Narcissus myth was also a nymph. She was in love with Narcissus, but he rejected her just as he rejected everyone. Kind of like Artemis. From the story of Narcissus, we get the modern term narcissist, a heartless and deceitful personality type. Both men and women can embody the essence of Narcissus. However, part of the reason why many women of today have started to embody Artemis's characteristic of the free woman who is uninterested in relationships with men, marriage, or children is due to some women growing tired of the narcissistic men they frequently encounter. Another popular movement that sums this up is a movement that originated in Korea called the 4B, or 4 No's, and those 4 No's are: to not date men, to not marry men, to not have relations with men, and to not have any children with men. These extreme feminist movements and the manosphere movements like the Red Pill are one and the same. Movements like the Red Pill contain men who desire the Instagram model but hate on her at the same time, especially because she messes with what they believe to be true about her type. That she is the woman desired who can be touched, yet they oftentimes cannot touch her. She also messes with these men when she inevitably leads them astray if they can touch her. These men often don't have the wisdom to know that this type of woman that they desire is a seducing spirit. So in their quest to humble her, they get owned. Even an Aphrodite Jezebel type can impose the bonds of Artemis, as mentioned in the Testament of Solomon. In Proverbs chapter 5, Solomon talks about the forbidden or strange, as in foreign, woman. She is forbidden because she worships another god, like the foreign women he fell for, or like Jezebel. Jezebel was a strange woman who led King Ahab astray And Solomon, in his case, had 300 concubines or 300 not wives, aka 300 Aphrodites. Following a strange woman who worships strange gods down a strange path leads to estrangement from whoever your God was before you followed her, since no one can serve two masters, for you will be devoted to one and despise the other. Solomon made this type of woman a proverb for a reason. He let it be known that the bonds of Artemis that are imposed upon the man who has relations with her are a curse as bitter as wormwood. The Queen of Heaven is either Aphrodite, which is Ashtoreth to the Israelites, or Artemis, which is Bashtet to the Egyptians, whom also the wayward Israelites emulated. Aphrodite is Venus, and Artemis later became associated with the moon, especially after she became associated with Hecate, believed to be the dark side of Artemis. Hecate is associated with magic, the moon, and crossroads, amongst other things. Crossroads being anything transitional, such as physical doorways or spiritual doorways. Artemis and Hecate have also been associated with the moon and water. No matter which of these goddesses is the Queen of Heaven, it is clear from the Testament of Solomon that none of them are truly benevolent. Artemis may not be a Jezebel, but it doesn't mean Artemis is good. Artemis is bitter and vengeful. Thus, the bonds of Artemis are torturous. Absinthe is an alcohol that was once banned in a few countries. It contains a variety of herbs, but the most notable one is wormwood. One of wormwood's constituents is thujone, which has the ability to cause convulsions when consumed in high amounts. Thujone is a nerve stimulant that is toxic at high levels. And on that note, I do want to point out that sometimes plant constituents like thujone and wormwood, for example, are extracted from the plant and studied separately to be used in pharmaceuticals. And sometimes those results don't turn out too well. And so the people in the studies, they go on to state in their research papers that the whole herb is bad, and it gives these herbs a bad name. In reality, it's not that the herb is bad, it's that when you dismantle God's perfect design, you run into issues. Sugar, for example, in a whole fruit is perfectly fine because you also have the fiber which helps the body properly digest that sugar. But processed sugar, sugar separated from its natural source, and then adding that to foods is a different story. Nevertheless, John Henry Clarke's Materia Medica for wormwood states, the characteristic symptoms of absinthe are sudden and severe giddiness, epileptiform seizures, delirium with hallucinations, and loss of consciousness. For some time after the attack, there is loss of memory. The giddiness and epileptiform attacks are the most important of the symptoms. As well, those who take absinthe are liable to hysterical manifestations. There is exhilaration followed by horrible delirium. They walk about in distress. They see demons and they experience sleeplessness. Wormwood is a very valuable medicinal herb. It treats parasitic infection, digestive issues, depressive states, and inflammation. Its bitterness is part of its medicinal effect, as tasting the bitterness sets off a chain reaction in the body as if the body senses the toxic nature of said bitter herb and instinctively works to quickly rid the body of it through the digestive system with the aid of secretions. Wormwood is clearly a useful medicine. It is primarily the bitter aspect of it that has a metaphorically negative connotation. The Israelites, for instance, equated bitter herbs with poison. Artemisia absinthium is the Latin name for wormwood. Though the name Artemis and therefore Artemisia have uncertain origins, I can gather that Artemisia means gift of Artemis. The origins of the word gift have some Swedish roots, and it means either poison or married, depending on how it is used. Absinthium means without sweetness, and therefore it means bitter. Together, the Latin name for wormwood can be understood to mean, metaphorically at least, a bitter poison or a bitter covenant, as marriage is a covenant. It is a bond. The bonds of Artemis are just that, and lead the one in bondage to a bitter end. In Revelation 8, the great star that falls is wormwood, and when it falls into the water, a third of the waters become poisonous, and people die as a result of drinking the water. This concludes yet another lesson on why healing is of the essence. So, in closing, be careful about what you attach yourself to, be it lust or your own pain, because its end is bitterness and that perpetual worm, the wicked's bane.